My husband cheated, left, and shattered our family. 8 months later, he returned, homeless, rejected, and desperate. And then he told me what his mistress did. I'm 35 now, and just last month I stumbled onto the truth I never imagined I'd have to face. My 36-year-old husband has been using his so-called work trips as a cover to sleep with a married co-worker who lives clear across the country. And when I say I found out by accident, I mean it. He sent me a screenshot of some Amazon purchases for our kids, but at the bottom of that photo, carelessly captured, was a delivery addressed to her. That tiny slip shattered everything. The anxious, suspicious part of me kicked in, and I checked his search history, then his email. I didn't have to dig far. It was all laid out in front of me like some sick, open confession. I learned that his November business trip was actually a romantic escape. And this current trip? It's even worse, pure luxury. A spa resort with couples massages, couples cooking classes, matching monogrammed bathrobes from Etsy. He even mailed her a Christmas gift box a few days ago. How thoughtful of him. He's bought her lingerie, sent her money through Venmo, and was already planning a January getaway to Las Vegas. The fury I felt, it shook me, but I kept it buried beneath a calm surface. I needed a plan. He left this morning for yet another work trip. Before he walked out the door, I tucked away 4 weeks' worth of gathered evidence. Emails, credit card statements, reservation confirmations. I wrote a 10-page letter, sealed it, and taped it inside the lining of his suitcase. Tonight, once he checks in, I'm sending a group text to both him and his mistress, wishing them a lovely trip. I'll let them know the letter is waiting for him and that I want a divorce. I even wrote a special section just for her, and I'll be emailing her a copy to make sure she doesn't miss it. Right now, he's somewhere in the air. My message goes out tonight. Stay tuned. His flight touched down about an hour and a half ago. He told me he'd text the moment he landed, and there's been nothing. Eve already sent 2 messages, both delivered, neither read. When I checked our phone records, my heart sank all over again. During his layover, Head texted both me and her. And when I looked at his email, I saw no Uber receipt from the airport to the hotel. Which means only one thing. She picked him up. I realized I should have made this clearer earlier. She lives in the state he's visiting. So yes, he flew out there completely alone right into her arms. In 2 hours, 4 p.m., their time, right at check-in, they'll be sending the group text to him and his mistress. I sent him photos of our kids, hoping, maybe foolishly, that He'd at least respond to that. Nothing. Not a word. And out there in the middle of the desert, his phone suddenly switches to green messages. Of course it does. The one moment I need that group text to land, and this happens. It throws a wrench straight into the heart of my plan. A plan Eve spent weeks building piece by piece. Now I'm scrambling for options. Do I call the hotel directly? Ask to be connected to their room? Every part of me is screaming that it has to happen tonight. After everything I've uncovered, after everything Eve prepared, I can't let this moment slip away. I just need a way in. A way to make sure they both hear me. Thank you to everyone who's been hanging on through this with me. My best friend rushed over to my house to keep me steady, and together we tried to figure out what was going on with my messages. Mine kept going through as green, undelivered, but when she tried texting him, her messages went through blue instantly. That's when it hit me. He blocked me. He actually blocked me. I guess that's what guilt looks like when it finally becomes too heavy for him to carry. So now the plan has shifted. I'm going to call the hotel directly. They'll give it a few minutes after their check-in time, and then I'm making that call. It's happening very soon. When I finally got him on the phone, everything so many of you predicted came true. He didn't care. Not even a flicker of remorse. And the part that cut the deepest wasn't the betrayal itself, it was the absolute emptiness in his voice. The way he had no answers for anything I asked. But you know what? I'm not crushed. Not anymore. Eve built myself a wall of emotional and financial support, and I'm standing on solid ground because of it. Every question I threw at him was met with silence, because she was right there beside him. I could hear the weight of her presence, how it pinned his tongue down. And I know, without a doubt, that when he's back home, sitting alone in front of me, those answers will suddenly appear. But by then, it won't matter. Not to me. Eve made damn sure he won't break me, emotionally or financially. Eve already secured everything I need, from family to friends, from love to stability. So he can shove it. When I called the hotel and finally reached their room, she answered. His mistress. And in that moment, everything I had been holding inside just erupted. I completely lost it. A few minutes later, he called me back, cold, flat, absolutely devoid of empathy. I was shocked but somehow not surprised. He told me a divorce was the next step and didn't fight me on a single thing. Not one. I thought he might sound sad, or conflicted, or something. But there was nothing. Just emptiness. So I did what I needed to do. I started packing up his things. My friends came over, real friends, the kind who show up when the world falls apart. And we boxed up everything and moved it into the garage. Good riddance, I guess that's what this is. I woke up this morning feeling hollow, like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left only the echo. My house looks like the aftermath of a storm. Photos ripped from the walls, his things scattered in angry piles, random objects shattered because in that moment yesterday, breaking things felt like the only way to release what was breaking in me. But after a night of sleep, the fog has thinned. I keep replaying our conversation, if you can even call it that. The man on the phone yesterday, he didn't sound like the person I thought I'd married. Then again, who was the man I married? Because now I'm realizing how much of it was built on lies. The only thing he focused on, truly focused on, was seeing the kids. And that part I'm actually fine with. He should want to be with them. But every question I asked, every truth I tried to drag out of him, he dodged. He wouldn't admit to anything. Not one thing. And I can't shake the feeling that his total lack of remorse was because she was sitting right there. If I had confronted him at home, if it were just him and me, I know he wouldn't have sounded like that. When he walks back through the door Monday night, I'm fully expecting to see someone different. His mistress told me she's recently separated. Hearing that made something in me go still, like another piece of the puzzle slid into place. Calling my mom, that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. My parents have always loved me, always supported me, but admitting aloud that the life I built is collapsing, that I chose wrong 13 years ago, felt like swallowing glass. Even though I know this isn't my fault, there's still this lingering sting of humiliation. But none of that matters right now. I have 2 days to purge this house of everything that belongs to him. And I don't know who I'm supposed to tell. Do I call his dad? Do I reach out to his mom? Do I tell his closest friends? His co-workers? Is there some manual for this kind of ruin? Because I swear Eve never felt more lost, even after all the preparation I thought I'd done. One small mercy. He didn't take his house keys when he left. That's one problem I don't even have to deal with. He'll just remove his keys from the ring and hand them back when the time comes. But I won't be here when he gets home Monday night. The doors will be locked. Every trace of his life with me will be waiting in the garage. If he wants anything else handled, he can let his people talk to mine. And as for me, they'll see him never. My friends and family have been incredible, steadfast, gentle, and exactly the kind of people who lift you up when your world collapses. I don't know what I would have done without them. Yesterday, they all showed up and helped me haul every last piece of Jason's clothing out to the garage. His collectibles, his precious little treasures, are boxed up now, waiting to be appraised. It took hours. By the end of it, I felt wrung out, drained in every possible way, but it had to be done. And honestly, I don't think Jason has any idea how far I've already gone to clear him from my life. When I confronted him, I was emotional, raw, shaking, devastated. So there's a part of me that wonders if he thinks he'll crack, that he'll want to reconcile. Fat chance. Not a single chance in hell. His flight lands just before 10 p.m. tonight. When he Ubers home, the doors will be locked. He told me over the phone that he planned to grab his car and go. Good. They'll be holding him to that. And hey Ray, something I should have mentioned from the start. The house is in my name. Only mine. When we first went house hunting, he didn't have the credit, so everything, every signature, every purchase, was done under my maiden name. Health insurance, car insurance, our phones, the utilities, all of it runs through me. The only thing that belongs solely to him is his car. I think it's finally hitting him that the practical side of this mess might hurt him more than he expected. I don't want a brutal divorce. I don't want scorched earth. I'm willing to listen to his demands and meet somewhere in the middle where I reasonably can. He clearly doesn't care anymore. Not about me, not about us. So I'm going to do my best to stop caring too. From here on out, this isn't love. It's a business transaction. It's been a few days since Jason came back, and the dust is finally starting to settle, at least on the outside. For a man who put so much effort into planning a secret getaway with his mistress, He didn't spend even a second preparing for what it would look like when he walked back into this house. Since Monday, he's been living in the basement. A fitting place, honestly. I let him come upstairs on Christmas morning just long enough to watch the kids open their presents. But once the wrapping paper settled, he retreated right back downstairs. We've already contacted 3 mediators, and appointments are set for next week. There's no pretending anymore. It's done. Completely over. When he first returned, we had what you might call a conversation, though it was more of an argument wrapped in shattered expectations. And in the middle of it, he actually asked if we could reconcile. I laughed. I really laughed. Loud, uncontrollable, almost delirious. Reconciliation? After everything? Of course, he shifted the blame. Claimed our marriage had been dead for a long time. Funny how that little revelation never came up before. His affair wasn't some tragic love story. It was selfish, cowardly avoidance. He didn't want to sit across from me and admit he wanted counseling or a divorce. Running off to someone who stroked his ego was easier. And a lot more fun. Let's be honest, he thrived on the attention. 2 women pouring emotion into him. 2 women wanting him. Well, not anymore. I'm done. She wins. And what a prize she's getting. I've stayed calm and reasonable while talking through the early terms of our separation. But the one thing I can't swallow, the thing that keeps scraping at me, is her. Because he might keep seeing her, and that raises questions I can't ignore. What kind of woman, what kind of mother, knowingly sleeps with a married man who has children? When I confronted her on the phone last Saturday and asked her that, she went silent. I asked if she felt even a flicker of remorse, and it was like the call evaporated into nothing. Some people show their true character in the absence of words. Her silence was loud. That is not the kind of person I want anywhere near my kids. Thank God for my friends, my family, and all of you who pointed me toward Chumplady. I'm halfway through the book now. Eve combed through the site, and it has been a lifeline I didn't know I needed. And I truly can't believe the support Eve received here. The kindness, the encouragement. It's overwhelming in the best possible way. To the trolls calling me an inattentive wife, save your breath. Cheaters cheat because they want to cheat. End of story. Thank you again, all of you. I'm not sure if anyone wants an update once mediation begins, or if this chapter is closing now. Either way, I'm grateful to have met you. Where does the fault really lie? If you listen to every book, every therapist, every bit of advice about cheaters, the message never changes. It's not you. They made a choice. But my soon-to-be ex, Jason, my 36-year-old husband, keeps insisting our marriage was already broken. Maybe we weren't some fairy tale couple, but I truly believed things were good. Solid. Real. And yet here I am, picking apart my entire life. Examining who Eve been, who I am now, and who I want to become next. Could I have changed things? Sure. Was I perfect? Of course not. But my flaws never threatened our marriage. If anything, they came in the form of sacrifices, compromises, quiet moments where I chose patience over complaint or responsibility over rest. And now those sacrifices, the ones I made for us, are being twisted back at me, used like weapons. Suddenly, I'm neglectful. Suddenly, I'm the problem. Is this really about me? Or is it about him? His need for attention, his craving to feel adored, his hunger to be the center of someone's universe? He and his affair partner are basking in their little honeymoon bubble now. Vacations, giddy late-night phone calls like teenagers, buying each other gifts, it's all shiny right now. But what happens when the shine wears off? What happens when she sees that he has zero patience with kids? When he walks past a sink full of dishes like it's invisible? When he forgets to pay the phone bill? Again, because he spent the money on some ridiculous gadget? What then? It's not my problem anymore, but I know exactly how that story goes. Sooner or later, she'll face the same crossroads I did. Does she become the glue holding everything together, or does she choose herself for once? Jason, who's been showering another woman with attention and money, actually told me I'm the one at fault. Maybe I played a part. But what about the years, decades, I spent cleaning up his messes, carrying the weight, holding together a life he refused to fully participate in? Maybe he would have stayed if I spent 2 hours every night whispering into the phone like his new obsession does. Maybe. But honestly, I'm relieved I'm here instead. Because looking back, I see it. How underappreciated I was. How neglected I felt, but never admitted. I wasn't being loved, I was being used. This affair? It's just another version of the same cycle. So hey, race my advice to every fixer, every excuse maker, every person who keeps the household and the relationship running while their partner coasts. Stop. Stop now. All that helping doesn't make them grow. It just teaches them how to manipulate you better. Draw your line in the sand. And when life finally forces them to face the responsibilities you carried alone for years, let them wobble. Let them struggle. Let them finally feel the weight. But don't lose yourself again. I lost myself a long time ago, and it's not a place I wish on anyone. We had our first mediation session over Zoom yesterday, and to my surprise, it was calm, almost eerily so. But I know why. I don't want a war. I just want this finished. And apparently, so does Jason. He's asking for nothing. Not the house, not the furniture, not even the portion of my pension he's legally entitled to. He wants out clean. And as Eve been decluttering the house, Eve offered him things, good things, practical things, and he refuses every single one. I can see the writing on the wall. The moment our marriage is officially dissolved, he's going to load his collectibles and his clothes into that car of his and drive straight across the country to Amanda. And logically, I should be fine with that. I don't want to be married to him anymore. But it still guts me that he's about to move in with her and help raise her 2 kids while mine end up with a barely their father. The anger of that burns deep, hot, and merciless. This is the same man who grew up without a dad. The same man who told me, again and again, that he would never do to his children what was done to him. And now he's doing exactly that. So I guess that promise, like so many others, was a lie too. I keep reminding myself that their little honeymoon stage won't last. Reality has a way of kicking in hard. Eventually she'll discover what I learned years ago, that he can be more burden than blessing, more chaos than comfort. I do genuinely hope he finds some version of happiness, but our kids deserve more than a Christmas/Easter/1 week in the summer dad. They deserve a father who shows up to basketball games, to Cub Scouts, to birthday parties and school plays. Meanwhile, Amanda gets him under her roof and her kids get both their mother and their biological father. Nothing about this is fair. And now my boys have to learn that truth earlier than I ever wanted them to. He's gone. Jason left yesterday morning to go visit Amanda. And the one who told him to go, I couldn't stomach spending New Year's Eve with him. And the friends in our little COVID circle, the ones we've celebrated with for years, want nothing to do with him now. He booked a flight within 30 minutes of me suggesting it. Fine, go. My only condition was that he be back for this weekend, because it's my birthday. And after watching the kids for 3 straight weekends while he ran off to see his mistress, I felt like I deserved one single day to breathe. While he was boarding, he texted to say he wouldn't be home for my birthday after all. Well, then he claimed the return flight he originally booked got messed up. Said he was supposed to come home the evening of my birthday, but when he tried to change it, he got put on standby. Then came the excuses. Changing it would cost $1,000. It was a red eye. There weren't any other flights. Excuse after excuse after excuse. What he seems to forget is that I, too, possess the magical ability to use the internet. Flights for the same airline he flew are under $300. I told him that, and he doubled down. Those flights weren't there when I booked. Lies. Clear as day. All I want is honesty. If he doesn't want to be here on my birthday, just say it. If he doesn't want to spend time with his own children, just tell me. I can't force him to be a parent. I can't force him to show up. I told him the flights were available and affordable. Now it's his choice. The ball is in his court. That's all I can do. Stay tuned for what happens when he's supposed to return this weekend. Nightmare. It was 12:40 a.m. on New Year's Eve, and there was still no call from him. I wasn't angry for myself. I was angry because I had told the kids that even though Daddy wasn't with us, he would call at midnight to wish them a happy new year. I believed he would. I set that expectation. And when the clock struck midnight and nothing happened, I felt like I had lied to them. So I texted my SDBX, and his excuse was, they are with their friends. I didn't want to bother them. Excuse me? Bother them? No. What he really meant was that he didn't want his kids to bother him. If I were across the country on Nye without my children, I would have FaceTimed them and done the countdown together. I think most parents would. But he didn't. And then he tried to twist it back on me. If you would have told me that you told the kids I'd call, then I would have. Why on earth do I have to tell you to call your children at midnight on New Year's Eve? Why do I have to manage the bare minimum of your parenting? This small act said a lot. Our children are not a priority to him. Not anymore. Of course, he didn't want to ruin the perfect little vacation he's having with his new girlfriend and her children. He has a shiny new family now, one he actually wants to show up for. Today is my birthday, and he's supposed to return tonight. I told him in that night text that I'll speak to him on the 12th at our next mediation and that I'm done. I tried to be civil for the kids, but he's not even attempting to put in effort for them. I'm not playing referee anymore. I'm not filling in the gaps he refuses to fill. I'm finished. I swear, the last few days have felt like I'm living in some surreal in-between world. Half-broken marriage, half-polite business partnership. Eric and I barely speak now, and when we do, it's strictly about the kids, the divorce, or whatever the mediator needs from us. There's no warmth, no emotion, just logistics. And somehow, that's kept things calm. We're careful to act friendly in front of Caleb and Dylan, careful not to shake their little world any more than it already has been. But underneath that thin layer of civility, something ugly is brewing. Last night, while I was cleaning the kitchen, I heard Eric talking downstairs. He must not have realized the basement door was left open. One of the boys probably rushed through without thinking. I walked over quietly, ready to close it and move on, but then I heard my name. I froze. He was on the phone with her. With Megan. And he was telling her I'd been acting crazy. Crazy? We barely talk. When we do, we're practically robotic. And yet he spun this whole story. How I supposedly flew into a fit. How I screamed and sobbed and raged. Every word was a lie. Then he told her he laughed in my face during this imaginary meltdown. I slammed the basement door. Hard. Let him know I heard every fabricated word. And I just kept thinking, why? Why turn me into the villain when we're not even fighting anymore? Why soil the beginning of this new romance he claims is so pure and life-changing? What does he gain by inventing a monster version of me for Megan to hate? And that's where my real fear sits. If he lies about me like this, how can I trust her? This woman who only knows me through his distortions, to treat my children with any kind of fairness when they visit? I don't care if she despises me, she can hate me all she wants. But Caleb and Dylan? That's different. That terrifies me. And of course, he still hasn't told a single soul that we're separated, much less why. He told his father he was taking the kids to visit alone because we aren't seeing eye to eye. As if this was some petty disagreement. He's too afraid to face the consequences of his choices, too sheltered inside the little fantasy bubble he's built with Megan. He still hasn't looked for an apartment. Not one viewing. But he booked another flight to see her for Valentine's Day. Reality is a door he refuses to open. Yesterday was our second mediation session. Things were calm on the surface, but the tension lingered, coming mostly from Eric. When the mediator brought up the possibility of him moving out of state, I mentioned the specific state where Megan lives. The mediator paused, confused, and asked him why there, of all places. He froze. Stammered. Silent. He couldn't even bring himself to say out loud that he's uprooting his life for his girlfriend. I finally stepped in, time is money in mediation, and explained it for him. It hit me later. That was the closest he's come to admitting the affair to anyone outside this house. If he loves her so much, why can't he speak her name with honesty? Financially, we'll both land on our feet. We settled on a custody plan that gives him weekends and dinners during the week. Fine. I want the boys to have their father, even if he's trying his best to abandon the role. But when he moves, his plan is to fly back once a month for a weekend visit. I agreed in theory, but where exactly is he staying? He has no family here. Will he take the kids to a hotel each time? Has he even thought about what that looks like? Somehow I doubt it. After mediation, I reminded him we've got about 2 months, give or take, to finalize everything. 2 months to save money. 2 months to find a place to live. 2 months to be an adult. He nodded along, agreeing. Then I brought up the promise he made. No more trips to see Megan until he has moved out or the divorce is official. Instantly, he bristled. Tried to shut the conversation down. Said he knew. Said I didn't need to remind him. But I'm not backing down. If he leaves while still living under this roof, then he doesn't come back. That was the agreement, his agreement. So now the question is simple. Who will Eric break his promise to, me or her? Either way, I win. Either he stays home and actually parents his kids, while saving money. Or he breaks his word, runs to her, and gets out of this house faster. I'm ready to move on. Ready to claim peace where I can find it. Ready to rebuild my life around the two small people who deserve all the love in the world. Caleb, Dylan, my everything.